Hello and welcome. It is Japan, and I have another match review tier list here today. It's a little late. This is going to be on Wrestle Dynasty that was a couple days ago. There's just been so much wrestling. From last Friday to what's today's Monday night, I've watched so many matches that yeah, it's very difficult. I also saw what is it, New Japan? What was it, Dash last night, and I did this JCW. Nope, not even the right. Yeah, my brain is fried from this. So, yeah, we'll just worry about Wrestle Dynasty here, and then I'll probably have another one of some of the smaller promotions because I've done most of these already. But then there was this set of the Total Joshi Pro Wrestling. I watched this card. I want to do this as a thing, and then I also have a couple just other matches that happen, like the AZM one. Let's just actually throw the AZM one up here. Let's just be honest. It was part of the card the day before, but I think it's probably best just to put it on this video. So let's just jump into it. Let's just start with Mayu and AZM. This match is what I don't even know if you want to call it a dream match because it's one of those things. It's happened before and it will happen again. It's just one of those matches. It's that old reliable. It's like that good uh drink you like a nice cold Dr. Pepper. It never fails you. Like you might not have it in 2-3 months, and all of a sudden you get a nice cold Dr. Pepper, and it is perfect. And that is exactly what this match is always. It's just a perfect combination of people that just always put on a good match. Now, the main thing about this match is that it is 10 minutes long. Who gives two of the best wrestlers 10 minutes? Like, I know it's not a promotion that really prioritizes women wrestling, but you had one women's wrestling match on this card. You could have put it higher. I'll have to give it an A. I would love to put it at S. It's just I put it in A because it really was the best 10 minutes of anything, but you can't get a good match into that when you have such good talents, because it does a dishonor to the person who's taking the pin to be defeated in 10 minutes when both of them had a great, amazing match. So I'll put it in A. It's definitely a great match. So let's go actually to Wrestle Dynasty. This card is stacked. I'm gonna be completely honest with a lot of the matches. It was the first time seeing a lot of these people. For me, at least on the Japanese side, because I am just getting into at least men's wrestling on the Japanese side. I've watched plenty of the women's wrestling, especially the main promotions, but now with the Japanese men, I feel like I've been trying to watch more. So I'm gonna be completely honest. Most of these names I'm gonna be bad at, but yeah, let's just jump into it. So first up, we had the Fatal 4-Way matchup of one of each promotion. Athena, Willow Nightingale, Momo, and Persephone? Persephone? God, I don't ever know how to say that name. It's like Persephone. It's like the Greek mythology name, if I'm not mistaken. I'd never seen her in a match before. She did really good in this match. Obviously, Momo she had 2 matches the day before, 2 matches, and then went into this match and this was the opening match. So I don't know the time frame of everything, but I'm pretty sure she had 3 matches in 24 hours, and she did great. She won the match. She pinned Athena, which has just never happened in 2 years. It was great. Athena looked good. Obviously, eating the pin there is not the greatest for her, but I feel like that's in that type of match, it was just so gung ho, and Willow obviously went out there and did great. I thought it was a good match. I'm gonna put it up in A tier. Again, I think some of it just came to they had a little bit more time, but I feel like they could have definitely put this on maybe later and just gave them a lot more time to cook, and I think it would have worked out pretty decent. Next up, we have the ROH Tag Team titles. This one was weird because it was like I really didn't think any of it was going to happen because other guys are just signed to New Japan Pro Wrestling, if I'm not mistaken. So it was kind of like no stakes involved. Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara is still kind of a weird tag team to me. I didn't really necessarily have a problem with them. I think this match in general was okay. I feel like it was just kind of one of those filler matches because they were going for a longer card, but I really feel like they could have taken this time, and the time of this match could have easily been broken up, give half of it to the women before them and give half of it to the main event, and I think it would have been fine. But this one I'm gonna put in C. I just think it was serviceable enough to be on the card necessarily, but I don't want to put it in D because I don't think it was necessarily bad. The men involved all did solid, but it was just the match just felt. Eh. Then we had the Lucha 6-man gauntlet match. There's some pretty good spots in here. I wasn't really aware of anybody involved in here, but I think overall it was a really solid. Just I don't really know. Like the gauntlet matches are weird to me because it's like I don't really want to say it's like oh the best feint ever because like a lot of it's hard to do when you have so many people going in and out in different feints. So like it was a really good match, but I feel like having it mystery and like not knowing all the people in it, I didn't know really what to expect, but there was definitely some nice good spots. I put it in a solid B. It was still really good. I wouldn't change much. It was a perfect match to have on the card. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like that deserved to be on there. That should have been the opening match. Then it should have went into the women, and then it would have probably been a little bit better pacing. Next up, we have Shibata versus it's Hiroshi. I think is his first name. It was a 5 minute time limit draw. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not a big fan of draws. I knew what the match was servicing, like, because it was just more of like a veteran, like kind of like matched where they were just kind of I don't know. It just felt like more of a match of respect. Um, it was an exhibition match. I just felt like we could have got a full match. It was one of those things. It's hard for me to rate because maybe this is a New Japan thing, but like if this was on any of the card, I probably would rate it pretty low. I'm just gonna put it in C. It's probably gonna make some people upset because I mean they are phenomenal wrestlers. I actually have seen both of these wrestlers wrestle before, like in matches. So I guess I was expecting something different, and maybe if I was more aware of what I was watching ahead of time, it would have been a little bit better. Next up, Mina Shirakawa versus Mercedes Moné. Now, I already had a rant video on here. It's Fano's 4 belt Mercedes Moné if you want to check it out. I went into that match a little bit more in depth. Yeah, this is a match that I honestly don't think is that bad of a match. I definitely think they did really good. Mercedes Moné looked really good. Like, I gave her crap about the whole belt thing and all that, and again, I don't know the backstage stuff of how much creative control she had in this type of thing. I felt like it definitely, for the whole Mina going to AEW, screwed Mina so badly. But when we go back to the match itself, I can't fault it. It was a good match. I really liked it. Both of the women look great in it. It is probably my favorite Mercedes Moné match that I've seen in AEW. She got a really good match with Hikaru Shida too, but I feel like this one was a little bit better. I would say it's been her best match that I've seen her do since being in AEW. I feel like her one against Kyrie and her one against Willow, where she got hurt, I think could have been better. Obviously, she got hurt, so it had that. It had kind of that limitation, but I think like those matches were pretty solid. But she's kind of had these up and down matches in AEW, so this is technically not AEW, but because it had an AEW championship, I feel like you can put in that same thing. I'd put it in A. I definitely think I would slide it up a little bit further if I was a little bit happier with the results. But I also have to gripe that you give them 14 minutes and you gave Mayu 10 minutes. And that match, it felt like 14 minutes. It felt longer because of the intros and all that. So I thought it was more of a 20-minute thing, but it ended up only being 14 minutes. I just think it's like, because it was a winner takes all of all the titles, it felt odd. But I don't really know exactly because I was a little unsure if it was all 4 belts being up for grabs or whatever it was. But I think overall, it was a solid match. Next up, we have David Finlay versus Brody King. I know Brody King part of the House of Black. I do believe I've seen David Finlay in a different match, but I wasn't really aware of him in general. I think it's this match right here. I think I've seen. I could be wrong. I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like I've seen that match before. Yeah, I watched this card. I watched this card too. I was trying to think. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that was the match. So yeah, that was the match that I saw. I'll be honest. Other than that, I'd never seen him before. It was a pretty solid back and forth. I felt like it was one of those ones that like it was like a 13-minute match. It felt a lot longer, but like in a good way. I had no problem with it. I'd solidly put it in B. It could very slide up to A on a different rewatch because I would watch it again. So I definitely don't think it was anything bad. Next up, we got Shota versus Claudio Castanova. I honestly had a lot of good spots in this match. I had never seen what is it, Shoto Umino? I don't know why, but I feel like sometimes I get better with the men's names than the women's names. But I guess we'll probably see that in the future, how good or bad that is. I feel like it was pretty solid. It was kind of I didn't really know much about the match. I just sat there and watched it. I wasn't upset. I put it in B. I really it wasn't like I'd probably go back and watch that match, but you know I don't know. So next up we have why I just said I knew names. I just completely mess up Kakeshta's name. I don't know why. The one time I actually knew the thing. Um, this was, I believe, a double championship title match. I don't know if both of the titles were online. I remember they said that it was for the AEW International title on something, but then I didn't see it on another one. So you guys would have to tell me on that one to be sure. But overall, this was an amazing match. I think I'm really I'm really liking what Konkeshna is doing. God, why am I butchering his name? I should have never said anything about actually knowing what I'm talking about because the minute I said that, I've cursed myself now to mess up this guy's name, even though I really enjoy him. He had so many matches this weekend. I'm just going to throw that out there because I watched DDT for the first time. That was what, Friday morning? He had a match. He had this Wrestle Kingdom match. Then he had this match. Like, he had 3 matches in 3 days, and they were like, not like, oh, these quick little like 5 to 6 minute matches. They were all like 10 minutes plus, and they all like were good matches. I honestly would put this towards one of the best of the nights. I've seen Ishii before. I believe he was in an AEW match. I've seen him in a couple AEW matches. I think Forbidden Door was one of them, and I'm pretty sure I saw him in something else. I could comfortably put this in S tier. I just like the match a lot. I don't know. It could definitely be persuaded if somebody like talked to me about it and I fully talked out the match or watched it again. I could maybe rate it a little bit lower or be solid in it. I'd have to watch it again, but on the first watch through and remembering, it's the match I remember the most out of all this, other than the Kenny Omega match, just because it's Kenny Omega and I was really pumped for that. But yeah, I definitely think it goes there. Next up, we had the tag team match. It was a triple threat tag team match with the Young Bucks. The other team, the team right here on the right, I don't really know, but this guy that always does the eye thing, which I'm like saying this like it's probably sacrilegious because like for me, I feel like he's a big deal because I always see him when I think of New Japan stuff. I like on shows or anything. So that being said, like I just this is the first time like actually seeing him in action. I've seen this man so many times, and I feel because he's in this match too. So this was actually the first time me seeing him, but then this was the second time. But I've seen him in other stuff. I want to say he's been in AEW also. I feel like I've been like nothing but AEW. I don't feel like I watched that much, but now I'm like saying all this stuff, so it feels different. I think overall solid tag team match. Oh, also Grado Khan versus Jeff Cobb. I've seen Jeff Cobb. I like him a lot. He's like built like a Tonka truck, but man can just do some crazy moves and some powerlifting. And the other guy has a good gimmick, but his hair is so weird with the ponytail, but just the circle in the back. I don't know. It was wild to see. I'd seen him a lot too. He was in a lot of different stuff. I think he was in one of these matches. I'm pretty sure, and he was definitely in the Dash New Japan Dash thing that was yesterday. I saw that one too. So yeah, that being said, I think it was a pretty solid match. I put it in B. I'd watch it again. It had some good spots. I thought the Young Bucks did pretty solid. I kind of thought they would win that, and they did. So next up, we got this. It's Yota versus Jack Perry for the IWGP Global Heavyweight title. Uh, I honestly didn't really care much for this match. I don't really know why. Like it just didn't do it for me. It was just like just kind of a flop on the whole Jack Perry stuff. I don't know. I don't really like his character work. And like the other guy obviously went out there and had a match, but it just felt overall that there was no chemistry and there was nothing here. And I think a lot of it came up to when you look at the place of the card, they were going to come on right before Kenny Omega. So like they were kind of stuck to, whatever happening, but like it just felt like, hey, you're going on to get next. Everybody's paying attention to that next match. That it kind of died it for me. I'd put it in C. It could possibly slide down to D as the worst match. That and the Dustin Rhodes match were both very forgettable matches that could have easily been cut from this card. They just didn't really have much of a purpose, or at least for me. The Expedition match, like down here in the C, I don't really know much about it, so I can't really say if it makes more sense with the story behind it. But I feel like, yeah, it just wasn't my thing. Next up, we have Kenny Omega versus Gabe Kidd. Never heard of Kid before this. I just had only heard the name when Kenny Omega called him out when he was coming back, and I obviously know Kenny Omega. This was a 31-minute match. This was insane, but I watched all 31 minutes. I was just sitting there watching this. I was just having a good time. I love Kenny Omega. Like I never really got to experience him as much because like he's on AEW and like I've heard of him and I've seen some of his stuff and I've like seen his streams where he goes reviews matches, but like actually sitting there and seeing some of his matches, I haven't really experienced him compared to some of the other wrestlers, especially even in Japan. So this was one where I just actually got to sit there and watch him go out there and just have a crazy ass match. And S tier, I don't really know. I don't know if you would rate it a 5-star match necessarily, but it was pretty damn close to being just a solid, all around perfect match because it just had everything in it. And yeah, I mean that's all I could say. The spots were great. The blood was very minimal, but like enough that like made the match a lot better. And I think they just did some crazy stuff out there, and they went, hey, good job on Gabe Kidd because like I never heard of him, but he went toe to toe, and everything seemed to just match. They had good chemistry in the ring, and everything felt correct. So, yeah, S tier match. Next up, we have the heavyweight championship match against Jack Sabre Jr. Zack Sabre Jr. What did I say? I don't even know. Defeating or yeah, facing Ricochet. It kind of felt random to a certain extent because of like Ricochet's like kind of like in the mid card in AEW, and he's like completely compelled like to the top of the card over here. I feel like it's still a good idea because like I think the match itself was really good, but I feel like they definitely could have felt a little bit better of having Ricochet in a different spot because it felt like in the spot that he is in currently in AEW that it just felt like why is he even having this match? Like he shouldn't be in this match. But I think it didn't really matter because the match still was really good. Um, these men can go out there and absolutely cook. Zack Sabre Jr. is kind of like that. He just feels like he goes out there and he has like a big time feel to him. He did great. Ricochet went toe to toe. I mean, nobody can ever say anything about Ricochet's wrestling. Like the man could go out there and run laps on a lot of people. It's just his character work and just I guess his charisma in general is just not always there. I think it's just like he's modest, and I think he works so heavily on his wrestling that sometimes you let other stuff like that go away. And I think that's what happened. And yeah, I mean, but that's kind of a side thing. But yeah, this was a good match. It was 20 minutes. It was just overall really good. I'd put it in A tier. It's pretty close to an S tier match. I'd maybe watch it again and maybe change my mind if watching it. The first time watching it, I wasn't upset. Thought it was a pretty solid main event because obviously Kenny Omega is an amazing star, but you wouldn't put that in the main event because there's no title involved. This definitely felt like it capped off the night perfectly. Plus, the Kenny Omega match got you so pumped that, like, if you would have just ended the broadcast after that match, I don't know what I would have done. The other match kind of got me to still have that chaotic energy, put it into something, and still, like, it just slowly burned it off without, like, just putting me to sleep or just going back pedal to the metal. So, I don't know, weird way of saying it, but I guess that's what they're saying. I think overall the card was an A. It was definitely one of the better events of the weekend. I wish I would know some of the people better. I think I probably would have had a better appreciation for it. So I'm starting to learn. So if there's people here that you should tell me to check out or I should check out, I will definitely be down to discover more. I've watched this. I watched the Wrestle Kingdom event that I'm going to do a video on. And then I also watched Dash, but I didn't get to finish that one. So I got to find somewhere to finish out that one because I missed, I think, the opening match and the last two matches because of timing. So hopefully I'll be able to watch that and maybe I'll do a video on that too. But until next time, this has been Japan. If you're enjoying this type of content, tell me. I'm exploring a lot of different wrestling, so I'll be all over the place. And just tell me what you guys like, and I will start checking out more stuff like this. Till then, it's been Japan. Bye, guys.